So I thought I would show how I build the Team Coralie shocks for the 6S models. I've done a few there already. This is the front ones, yeah, for my Python. And here we got all the parts totally dismantled. I do not normally dismantle this much. If there is no need to, I leave all the O-rings and everything in here. Don't have to take that apart if there's nothing wrong with it. Just make sure everything is clean. I see it's dirt in that one. So what do? We need one of these. I love these. I need the 4mm one, a shock tool, a 2mm to take off the bottom Allen, the bottom bolt in a arm for the shock, and of course the 5.5 at the shock mount. So yeah, I use this silicone grease. I think this is brilliant stuff. I use it for the O-rings, for actually on the pistons, on the bladder, wherever I think it needs more, because it lubricates and it seals very well. So what I do is, first we do shock rod. So check if that is straight first of all. Roll it on a flat surface. Washer at the bottom. There. The piston with the taper down. Like that. Your nylon lock nut. Top of that. And when I use these, never grab in the middle, because most likely you're gonna scratch something, or because you don't want to scratch it where the rod is actually active, if you say so. So far down where normally the spring cup go, or up where it doesn't, yeah, it's not active, whatever you call it. So I grab up there. I like to grab quite firm, because the grab itself or the grip itself will not scratch. It's when you slip, it's going to scratch. And these don't have to be what? Doesn't fit. Use a cheaper one then. Yeah. These don't have to be overly tightened. Just tighten and back off a bit, because you can actually snap the piston when the shock compresses hard. And it's also nice to not have the shock cross sticking out at the end to puncture the bladder. You don't want that. Like that. I use some of my gooey silicone grease. Maybe you shouldn't do this, but it helps. Aim that in there. I normally put this in before I have built it with the O-rings and such. Some do the other way around. As you see, there's an O-ring there. I haven't removed that yet. I left it be there because I felt I'm going to break it if I take it off, so I leave it there. Nothing wrong with it. And then we take some grease. First O-ring. Not too much grease on there, and make sure there's no dirt on there. Take the black spacer. Take another O-ring. Goes in there. Take the guide or spacer or whatever it's called. And I like to have some grease around here. Put the bottom cap on. Make sure you don't cross thread it, because this is plastic. The cloth is always nice to have. That's hand tight. And there we got first part. You need a rod end. And these also, you don't want to thread them on too hard because that's when you're going to start to snap rod ends. So I put it on until it takes stop. There, stop, and back off a bit so we have no unnecessary pressure on that. There. And these spring tensioner or not. Got an O-ring there. You don't need any silicone grease on that. That's just going to attract that. Try to get that in there. And in there. Come on, get in. Yeah, we say you're in there. These can be a bit tricky to get on as soon as you, like that, escaping. Come on. There. No. There. That's on, because I like to have this on now because when I'm going to rest the shocks to air the bubbles out, I like to put up a spring like that. Put that in there. And it can stand and get the bubbles out. So there we go. Then we're gonna I forgot if this is front or rear. Is it rear? When you do fill up, try to it's just paper. Try to have an even flow of the oil so you don't let go, because that's when you get bubbles. And now you will have the first bubble going to come out now. Normally trapped under the piston. There it comes. And I can sit and rest there. There. Get the bubbles out. I rather have too much oil in than too little, because you're going to see when I put the bladder on. It's actually alright, because it's going to go in. Some people actually put the bladder in the cap. I don't like to do that. I put the bladder first and then I put the cap on. Right, let that air a bit now then. There's no more air left in that oil, so just make sure you can up and down a few times, but make sure you don't go too far up, because when you pull it down again, you're going to suck in new oil in the air that we just got rid of. That's perfectly fine. And the bladder, make sure it's clean, no dirt around the edges. Put it there, press the shock down. It's going to be messy now. That's alright. Could have a cloth around there maybe. All the way down. And now we've got a little vacuum there that keeps the bladder in place. With the cap, make sure you don't cross thread here. You do not want to do that. And these shocks have, is it 1 or 2 air holes? So when you start to twist the shock together, I do it with the rod all the way in to have 0 rebound. Depending on where you have your shock rod is how quick the rod will go out by itself by oil pressure. So I've seen other videos, they put the cap on, they do it very quick, but I like to turn it on really slow. As soon as I see bubbles, I just wait a little and see it keeps bubbling. If I would twist it on now, it would be a lot of air trapped in there. And that's why I'm twisting the shock itself so you can see what I mean. So it just keeps coming in. There, that's all the way down. And still the rod all the way in. And now hand tighten, lift up, wipe off all the oil as good as you can. And now I tighten the rest, still with the rod where it is. Not too hard because these bladders can slip to the side, so just hand tight. And that shock has a tiny bit of rebound because I quite a lot of oil in there. No air. Totally fine. So we wipe that off. And then when you build the other shock, it's a good thing before you put the spring on, when you have them side by side, try to press both shocks together so you can see that both shocks have the same rebound. Otherwise you're going to have a car that acts a bit weird. It's going to have different suspension, even though you have the tension of the spring same, they will be different stiffness in them. So that's important. And of course measure, so you got your rod end exactly the same and the shocks have exactly the same length. That is messy. I used 45, TLR 45 in the back on this Python. There. That rubber O-ring in there is there so the shock in pressure will actually, the tension nut will actually stay still there. That goes on. And as you can see, you've got a little thingy there. That's meant to, let's see, what way is it now? There. Actually lock. You lock it in place now. Yeah. Perfectly fine. Well, I'm really happy with that. Smooth. Butterly smooth. Then I was going to make the other one, so that's identical. So as I said, normally I wouldn't put the springs on and this and that until I got both the shocks ready, so I can make sure the rebound in the shock itself without the spring is identical. So I'm really happy with that. In the beginning you might get some oil coming out in the breather hole here. Perfectly fine, perfectly fine. If it start to come out here, you've done something wrong. You might have to take it apart and refit it. So as I said, just hand tighten. Perfect. So there you go. Oh yeah, I was about to say, tools, toothbrush of course, earbuds, some kind of shock tool. If you just have a normal plier, use a cloth. But you see this one got a hole there, exactly the same size as my rod. Might not be the best one, but if you're careful, it's nothing, no worries with that. X-Acto knife to to make sure there's no sharp bits on the piston. If you would scratch your rod, you can use some very fine wet sandpaper. You can use steel wool, as long as you don't overly do it, because then it will not be tight in there. So there you go. I hope that helps. I'm just thinking if I forgot anything. No, that's it, I think. So hope it helps. Have a good day. Bye bye.